Hello and welcome to the Bonafide Basketball Podcast. We have a great show today, so stay tuned. What's up, guys? It's Jay Sauce here with Hot Rod. How's it going, Rod?
It's going good, man. You know, Ron got the win last night, so I'm feeling really good.
He got a little lucky last night. We'll get into that. But, so we can get started right now. So we got a new bit we're doing. It's called You Decide. And it's where, I'm going to give a statement and Rod's got to tell me if he agrees or disagrees and why. So first one, let's get right into it then. So Donovan Mitchell's been playing great this offseason. Some people can argue that he's been playing like he should be Rookie of the Year, but who knows? So my question for you, Rodney, is Donovan Mitchell already better than Gordon Hayward was? Or I say was because he's injured right now, so we don't know exactly how he's going to be when he comes back. But is Donovan Mitchell already better for the Jazz than Gordon Hayward was?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say as of right now, yeah, because they beat a tough OKC team that I'm not sure they would beat if they had the team that they had last year with Gordon. And Donovan Mitchell just has that it factor where he's one of those players that can really rise above, and when everyone's not playing well and just really take over a game. And Hayward can do that too, but I don't think to the level that Mitchell has even, as a rookie. And so I think he's a better fit. And I think that team that they have just fits Mitchell better than what they had with Hayward.
Really? You think this team, why? Because of like players like Rubio and Ingles?
Yeah. I mean, they had Ingles last year, but I think Mitchell just brings that like scoring that they needed.
Yeah.
And Hayward, yeah, he's a good scorer, but he's not a guy that you want to count on as your number one. Every night. Like, he can be a number one at night at times, but on Boston right now, fully healthy, it's him and Kyrie. Like, Kyrie's going to be the main guy, and he's going to play second fiddle. So that's, like, perfect for him. Like, kind of to the sense of Paul George. Like, Paul George, like, is really, really good, but if you count on him to be your best player, you're going to be disappointed at times. But as the second best player, like, Paul George is probably one of the second best players in the league. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. I actually agree with you a lot. I think Donovan Mitchell's already proven, like you were saying, he has that aggressive mentality as the number one guy to just go for it. Regardless of if he's having a bad shooting night, he's still going to be aggressive and he's going to take the blame when they lose. He's not going to take the credit when they win. He's going to pass it on to his teammates, and that's what you want in your best player and a leader. And I guess just to give you some stats, I saw this on SportsCenter the other night. Gordon Hayward in his time with the Jazz won 4 playoff games in 7 seasons. Donovan Mitchell's already won 5 in his rookie season. Now, you can credit that a lot, I guess, to the team and the development too, but to just think about what Donovan Mitchell's doing as a rookie, being the leading scorer on the team, being the go-to player down the stretch to beat a number one seed like the Rockets, even one time in this series, is great, considering a lot of people wrote them off at the start of the year as maybe barely making the playoffs or not even making the playoffs after losing Gordon Hayward and George Hill and, all the turnover they had on the roster. And I'm going to give you some more stats here, just comparing Donovan Mitchell and Gordon Hayward's numbers. So this is Gordon Hayward's last year on the Jazz. So Gordon Hayward averaged 21.9 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. Donovan Mitchell this last season averaged 20.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. So virtually all the same, just about 1 points per game difference and about 1.5 rebounds per game difference go to Gordon Hayward, which, I mean, you know, Gordon Hayward's got a few inches of height on him. You'd expect him to possibly get 1 or 2 more rebounds. But other than that, those numbers are very close, almost identical, with somebody who just got a huge max contract versus a rookie coming in that a lot of people thought would be good, but nowhere near what he is. So
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, so I have this question here.
all right, go for it.
All right, so, you know, everyone gives Jason Tatum a little pass because, you know, he's like, you know, third or fourth fiddle on Boston, when they're fully healthy and during the season and stuff. If Jason Tatum were drafted by the Jazz and not Donovan Mitchell, do you think Jason Tatum would have the same type of impact on the Jazz or not?
Personally, no, not a chance. And here's why. I think Tatum would probably have as good or a little better numbers than he is on Boston. So I think he'd still be an impact player, probably be a starter, probably be one of their top 3 players. But Donovan Mitchell just has that aggressiveness, which has been my knock on Tatum the whole time, is that at times I feel like Tatum, and it might just be because he's a rookie, you know, he's very young, he's trying to fit in, but I think there are times Tatum could be more aggressive. And Donovan Mitchell's the type of player who, he's always so aggressive, you almost have to tell him sometimes to not be so aggressive. So it's easier to tame down a really aggressive player than bring one and make him more aggressive, if you know what I mean. So I personally think Mitchell, it was the right fit and the right mentality, you know, player team fit that allows him to kind of take over for this team, and that's what they needed. Whereas Tatum, I think, would be a little more laid back, just kind of trying to fit in. But what do you think?
Honestly, I probably agree with you because I think Tatum, you know, he'll have his time where he'll be the lead dog and stuff, but I don't think he would be able to do it right out of the gate like Mitchell has.
Yeah, Tatum though has shown flashes. I mean, this playoffs he has the few moves, you know, he does like a crossover through the legs into a pull-up jumper or a step back or fade away. He has great footwork that if he develops, man, I can totally see why the Celtics took him. That was a great pick, you know, especially because a lot of people were talking about Josh Jackson. Now, Josh Jackson was on, I guess, way depleted roster on the Suns, so he didn't have much to work with in terms of teammates this year. Whereas Jason Tatum, you know, has one of the best coaches in the league, some great teammates, and maybe that's helping him to be a little better. But I think right now Jason Tatum's looking like a great pick, especially compared to if they would have picked Josh Jackson instead. All right, so moving on, Rodney. There's been a lot of controversy in the NBA with players and fans lately. I know you've seen Russell Westbrook getting yelled at by a fan, and then he yells back, you know, swipes at a phone. And then you see James Harden the other night. Fans are taking a video of him, kind of antagonizing him, and then he slaps a phone out of somebody's hands. So, NBA players are in the wrong for hitting phones out of players, out of fans' hands, and for yelling back at fans that yell at them. Are they in the wrong or not?
I think that's a iffy subject. It depends on situation, in my opinion. I feel like if the fan is really instigating that, like really, you know, putting their phones out in the players' faces or like yelling, you know, vulgar things at the players, then I don't think they're in the wrong. But most of the time that usually comes with the player that's losing or lost. So at the same time, it's like they're already frustrated or pissed off that they lost, and then having, you know, fans, you know, ridicule them and stuff kind of just like lets off a fuse. So it's like it honestly just depends on the situation, because you never see like players that win do that. So it's like
very true.
Whenever they lose, they're already like pissed off, and like I feel like the only way they feel like they could take their anger out is on the fan. So that's why I think it just depends on the situation.
Yeah, I think it does, but I think overall players are in the wrong simply because it's their job to be composed. Part of their job is to go out there, and in both of these instances, the fan did not touch the player first. They might have had their phone in their face like a paparazzi, but just for example, in celebrity society, if they attack a paparazzi person and break their camera, they can get charged with assault or things like that. You see it all the time. You know, it happened to Kanye at some point. Don't want to get too much into Kanye because that's a whole nother realm of topic we could get onto. But so I think the players, and I think it's on the NBA to do something about it, because you're right. The players that lose are the ones that this is happening to because they're already upset. And it's human nature. If someone sticks a phone in your face or is yelling at you, you don't want to be nice to them. You want to yell back, or you want to hit a phone out their hands or whatever. So you can't blame the players, but they still are in the wrong, I think. And I think it's up to the NBA to either push the fans back more so they're not within touching distance. You know what I mean? So maybe there's no chance for James Harden to slap a fan's phone because they're 3 feet away and they can't reach James Harden next time. Or maybe they need to monitor better the language being used. For example, Russell Westbrook, all he was talking about was the Utah fans saying derogatory things about his family. And like, you know, if they're really saying that, then there shouldn't be a fan there yelling that kind of stuff. That's like, you know, that's vulgar. You shouldn't be doing that. So that fan should have been thrown out then. Or, you know, I don't really know how it's currently handled, but I think they got to do something about it because, you know, we don't want to see another Malice in the Palace, Steven Jackson and Ron Artest and the fans.
Yeah. But the thing is, the common denominator in both these situations is that they're Jazz fans. Both instances. So it's like,
True.
You haven't really seen it on either fan bases or any other fan bases but that one.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, is it something that you need to have during Jazz games, like extra security, because I guess their fans are, I guess, like the quote unquote bad guys now, like in the league? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever a real thing, but, and it's like Utah of all places too. Like I would expect, you know, some different places, but yeah, that's crazy. That they, you know, I mean, them getting mad, I totally see it because, you know, like I said before, like you're frustrated already and stuff, and you got cameras. Like, it's like if you're the little kid and then, you know, I mean, obviously these are NBA players, but like if you're the little kid and you got made fun of or you lost and everyone's like, ha 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 ha, like everyone's like pointing cameras at you, you'd be, you know, really pissed off even more. So I don't know. I mean, these NBA players, yeah, they're professionals, but they're also humans too. So that's why I kind of feel like it depends on the situation.
Yeah. The NBA's got to do something, just because they can't be like reactive then. And like, you know, what if somebody courtside does this and an angry player like hits or pushes a fan? Then it's gone too far and they got to, you know, instill new rules then. They might as well do something now to prevent it. Because basketball, if you think about it, like the fans are really close to the players. Like on every drive, there's a chance that LeBron falls into the stands, into the media, or dives for a ball and ends up on the lap of fans. So they're right there. And security's good, but if a fan wanted to run on the floor, like they could do it. If a player wanted to run into the stands, they could do it. We've seen it before. Like, so it's kind of unique, but you know, you don't want to restrict it too much because, like you were saying, if there's a little kid, like some of the best moments are being courtside or being able to touch like LeBron's hand as he's walking in, give you a high five or throw you an arm sleeve or something. But I don't know, difficult one. But moving on, so the Toronto Raptors, after last night, now fall 0-3 to the Cavaliers. It's not looking good for their chances. You know, they came in as a 1 seed. They looked like they had the best year in franchise history. Looked like it was a different year. They got a bench finally. DeMar DeRozan was the man, and Kyle Lowry was his sidekick, and now everything's kind of blown up in their faces. So, will the Toronto Raptors blow up their team in this offseason? Yes or no?
I say they wouldn't break up their team, but I think they'd fire Dwayne Casey. I think that they may think that this roster is good enough to compete, and it just may be the head coach, or they may trade some of their young players and try to get a little more established person just to be able to stop LeBron. That's like their only, big weakness right now. They literally have no one that can stop LeBron. And OG Anunoby, like, he's a rookie and he's good. I like him a lot, honestly, as a prospect.
Yeah.
But, like, you're not gonna guard arguably a top 2 player of all time with the rookie and expect to succeed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
They just need to find someone that can, slow down LeBron. Like, you can't stop him. I mean, the last 7 NBA Finals MVPs had to deal with LeBron, whether it was him or whoever was guarding him, whoever quote unquote slowed him down, won the MVP. So it's like, you can't really stop him. It's just honestly just about slowing him down and just doing whatever you did that worked during the regular season. Just continue to do that, So I don't think they'll blow it up, but I do have another question for you, you to decide. Who would you rather not be right now? The Sixers down 0-3 to the Celtics, or the Raptors down 0-3 to the Cavs? Like, which situation is worse?
Oh, I think the Raptors is worse, and I'd rather not be the Raptors for a few reasons. One, I think there's a lot more pressure on them because they're number 1 seed. Like, a lot was expected. I mean, a lot of people like myself and you and others still believe LeBron was the one to beat whatever team he is on, if they're good, whether he's on the Cavs or another team. Like, he's the one that's going to come out of the East or going to be a contender. So, I didn't give the Raptors too much credit, but they came out with the 1 seed, and they got their shooters finally. They got Ibaka, Valanciunas have been playing well. They have a good, well-rounded team. So there's not really an excuse anymore. And to go along with that, so they're the number 1 seed, and they've been doing this longer. The Sixers are, they had a great season, but they kind of overachieved, and it was kind of, I guess they were underrated. Whereas the Raptors are now looking like they were overrated. So the Sixers are in a situation where I don't really think they have anything to lose, because this season was already like kind of it was great. They can look at it as a building point, regardless of how the series ends with the Celtics. Maybe they just weren't ready as a team, but they can get better and improve, and they have a lot more years to do it. Whereas the Raptors, they're kind of in no man's land, and it might be time to trade either Lowry or DeRozan or something to make a change, because it's not working.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think it's the opposite. I mean,
really?
Honestly, yeah, I think I would rather be the Raptors right now than the Sixers, because the Raptors, once the standings were final, everyone knew the Cavs were going to beat the Raptors. But no one thought it was going to be 0-3 or 3-0 right now, Cleveland. But everyone kind of already knew the Cavs are going to get past the Raptors. Now, on the other hand, the Sixers, they, sort of overachieved this season, the season of success, et cetera. But, I mean, they rode into the playoffs so hot on, 16-game winning streak. They beat the Heat pretty handily, even though that was a hard series for them. They beat them pretty, good. And everyone was riding the Sixers, OMG. Sixers could be in the finals. They could win the championship. Embiid's this, Ben Simmons that, et cetera. And Boston doesn't have their 2 best players. And Jaylen Brown didn't even play game 1. So to be down 0-3 to the Celtics team that's missing, their three best players at one point in the series is kind of like disappointing in a sense. And even though like the Sixers are young or whatever, like they still have the two best players in this series, and for you to have the two best players in this series and be down 0-3 is very disappointing. And Boston's not going to get any worse. Like, they're going to get better, and if LeBron leaves, these two teams are the future of the East. And if they can't even beat the Celtics without Kyrie and Hayward, then it looks like the C's are going to own the East for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, as of right now, I mean, obviously those players can improve, but it's kind of this playoffs has kind of been telling and kind of exposed a different number of teams here.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with the Sixers, I guess, is Ben Simmons is great, but he just doesn't have the ability to score right now at an like expert level, like a caliber of a Donovan Mitchell as a rookie who can be a go-to scorer. Ben Simmons is a playmaker, which is great, and it's reminds me so much of LeBron, especially early in his career, where LeBron would make the plays the whole game, but then at the end of the game, he's still trying to make plays for others, but it wasn't paying off. He might make a good pass, but somebody in the corner doesn't hit the open shot, and it looks like nobody notices that really, and they just look at Ben Simmons and say, oh, you didn't score any points in the fourth quarter, or you had 1 point this game, which you should have had more than 1 point. Let's be real about that. But he's a playmaker, but not necessarily the scorer, which the Sixers don't really have anyone that can do that. Like, Saric is good, but if he's your go-to scorer down the stretch, like, he's one of the only ones that can create his own shot. JJ Redick, maybe, but he's a spot-up shooter. Bellinelli's a spot-up shooter. Embiid is good, but, I mean, the way the NBA's gone recently, and if Al Horford is a great defender, we saw the other night, blocking one of Embiid's shots in the clutch, making the plays on the offensive end. But the other side of this is, I know the Celtics have a depleted roster, but their coaching, dude, is out of this world. Brad Stevens has done an amazing job. Like, I haven't seen a coach like this make an impact in a long time.
Yeah, he's definitely like a transcendent coach. Like, honestly, I think he's a once in a generation type coach. Like, no matter who he has, that team is going to be better. Like, they're not gonna slouch. And I think Danny Ainge should get some credit too, because he sort of figured out Brad Stevens in a sense, and he gets players that fits his system no matter, how talented they are. Like, they're going to play hard, they're going to play good defense, they're most likely going to be able to hit the three, and, they're just guys that fit his system with the ball. They just play good basketball, honestly. And that's what you need in the NBA with so much talent. You just need good basketball talent. Like, you can't beat that.
Yeah, his basketball mind and his ability to draw plays, like, is insane. I mean, I'd say most coaches usually either have one, like a set of plays. Like, for example, on all the teams I've been on, we have an out of bounds play or something that we would run in a certain situation at the end of a game that we've practiced, or we have a end of game play that if there's 10 seconds left, we run this and we think we can get a good shot out of it. This guy's literally drawing up a play in a timeout at the end of a game that nobody's ran before, explaining everyone's position because he thinks that's the specific play that will win him the game. And Al Horford talked about it, in the post-game interview. Like, Brad Stevens just drew up that play, at the end of the game, and Al Horford was thinking, like, what does he do? Like, this is going to work? And it worked perfectly. He got a layup, and they won the game. So, every once in a while you get a coach like this, but it's not often, and he's doing great things with that team.
Okay. All right, so I have one more question for you. I think
Yeah,
this
go
one's a
for
good
it.
one. I think this one's a good one. I've been hearing some rumblings about Kawhi. Obviously, you know, he's a disgruntled star in San
Uh huh.
Antonio, and the reports are saying how the Spurs, if they do trade him, would only trade him east. Do you think the Celtics could be better off just trading Kyrie for Kawhi straight up and just keep the roster
Whoa.
that they have now? What do you think about
Trading
that?
Kyrie for Kawhi.
Straight up.
No, I don't personally.
You don't think so?
Well, that's just a whole different dynamic to me. Like, Kawhi is a wing, Kyrie's a point. Terry Rozier's been playing good, and do they need? I just think Kyrie's a better player overall. I mean, I know Kawhi's got lockdown D, but for this team, you know, they got Gordon Hayward. They got plenty of wings. They got Hayward, Tatum, and, you know, Jalen all out on the wing. Jalen Brown. So they got wing players. They even got one of the Morris brothers. Couldn't tell you which one it is, but he's there as a forward. So I don't see it being worth it, especially because they're both kind of injury prone. So Kyrie's better. I don't know. What's your take?
I just think of it from a defensive standpoint. Cause like if you trade Kyrie, you know, they can still sign Smart. They still have Terry, Scary Terry. So they'd have point guards. And Terry Rozier's definitely, you know, just showing out this playoffs that he can be, you know, a bigger player than what he is. So if you have a defensive team of Terry Rozier, you know, Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown, Kawhi Leonard. Like, if LeBron stays in the East, Kawhi Leonard's the answer for LeBron. You know what I mean? That's the only way you're getting over the top of LeBron in the East. And Al Horford's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, if you match him with Kawhi Leonard and Marcus Smart, like, teams would have a hard time scoring 90 points on this team. Don't you think?
My opinion, I just think having a player like Kyrie with his offensive scoring ability, we saw with him on the Cavaliers that, you know, they don't win that championship without Kyrie specifically. He was a 40-point scorer in multiple games in the finals. He's the one who hit the go-ahead bucket over Steph Curry. He's got that scoring ability that is one of a kind. There's very few players in the league at any time that has that, and he has it. Kawhi is great. He's a great defender, especially against LeBron James, so that would give them help. But personally, I just wouldn't make that trade. It's just too much risk involved, and the fans, you know, everyone would be like, you just traded away Kyrie, and any excuse, you know, if they're struggling, it'd be like, oh, we had Kyrie and we gave him up. What are we thinking, you know?
No, I get that. But the thing is, both players are coming off injury. Both players have the same exact contract. They're both free agents at the same exact time. So it's like, the thing with Kawhi is like, I just think that he's the missing piece to what they would need defensively. And like, Brad Stevens is obviously one of the best coaches. So he'd figure it out in terms of like their system and what they need. And if you can remember, Kawhi last year in the playoffs, like, he was everything for the Spurs in like the fourth quarter. Like, he has that like post up, fade away, like, you know, he can dribble, pull up, you know, run some pick and rolls with him. So obviously he's not Kyrie with the eye candy in terms of scoring, but I think he could match production that Kyrie would bring more efficiently too. Because if Kyrie's like not hitting, then he's gonna put up a lot more shots, and I feel like Kawhi is a lot more efficient scorer than Kyrie is. So I mean, it's just something to think about. Like, I was just hearing, someone brought that up to me, and I was like, wow, that actually like isn't as bad as it sounds if you really think about it. And I just wanted your opinion on that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, just from a standpoint of basketball, like as a basketball fan, I would love to see that. Like just see what the Spurs would be like and what the Celtics would be like. It would just be a whole new,
Oh,
dynamic.
the Spurs would for sure do it. I think the Spurs would for sure
Yeah,
do it.
but
They
how
would be.
would Kyrie fit in Pop's system though? That'd be weird too.
Yeah, that would be weird, but I feel like Pop would figure it out because he'd have him and LaMarcus, and then they'd have shooters around them. Honestly, they'd find some some European shooters we've never heard about. They'll just come in and shoot 45%.
True. Yeah,
Honestly, so
we'll see. That would be crazy.
I'm like kind of like excited for this offseason because I feel like it'll kind of be like last offseason. Maybe not as crazy, but it'll definitely like be like one of the better off seasons. I feel like.
Definitely. I mean, the Laker fan in me I can't wait till the offseason because I want to see if they can sign somebody big. There's going to be so much movement. I mean, anytime LeBron James is a free agent, it's going to be insane. So there's other big players like Paul George, Boogie Cousins, just big names and role players that can change the tides of the league. And we could be seeing different teams competing for championships. So that's always fun. I'm excited. You're excited. So moving on, one more you decide question for you. This isn't so much about basketball, but as it is individual players. But is Rajon Rondo more antagonizing and annoying than Draymond Green? Yes or no?
No, not at all. Not
No?
even close. Not even close. I don't think it's even close. I think Draymond has that title since what, 15? That's all it is. I don't think Rondo. I think maybe in the NBA circle, like like that tight NBA circle, maybe Rondo may have that chance. But like I feel like public perception and like my opinion, no way. Like Charles Barkley would never come out on the media and say I'd want to punch Rajon Rondo in the face, and he said that about Draymond. So,
Well,
I don't.
you make good points, but my argument is like a more widespread, and I'm looking at, for example, Steve Kerr was just quoted as saying, if Draymond wasn't on his team, yeah, nobody would like him. Nobody on the Warriors would like him. But he's on their team, and when you have a player like that on your team, you love him. Now, Rondo has been known in the past for being the exact opposite. He's had issues with the Celtics, that's why he had to leave. He had issues with Ray Allen while he was on the Celtics. He had issues when he went to the Dallas Mavericks, and he sat out and eventually left or got traded. I forgot exactly how that played out. But he's been known as being like, malcontent and upset, and teammates. He got D Wade and Jimmy Butler mad at him in Chicago, which kind of forced his way out of there. And so when I look at it, he's not just antagonizing other players. For example, the reason this came up was because in this series, obviously, Draymond and Rajon Rondo have been going at each other in the Pelicans-Warriors series. And they've been doing different things. Rondo rubbing sweat on the ball while Draymond's going to shoot a free throw. Draymond just and getting in the face of Rondo, them jawing at each other. So on the court, yeah, Draymond's probably more antagonizing in the sense of players hate him because he's always talking trash, always yelling, always like playing with a huge chip on his shoulder. But when I look at Rajon Rondo, he's antagonizing sometimes to his own teammates and players, trying to be the coach on the floor too much, more than the head coach, and having disagreements. And so I gotta go with Rondo, man. He's everywhere he's gone, it's not really ended very well with him leaving, and that's why he's been forced out of situations.
The thing with Rondo is I just get this sense of feeling that if he feels that he knows more than you, he's gonna like let you know. And the thing with him, like, he's just has such a good basketball mind. I mean, to be a guy without a jump shot and to average, the amount of assists he has over his career, like, you have to be like, really smart. And yeah, like, he's played with great talent and stuff too, but at the same time, that's just how he is. And I feel like the reason why I feel like everyone feels the way Draymond does is I just feel that if Draymond wasn't on the Warriors, he would not be this way, if that makes sense. And Rondo shows the track records, like, wherever he is, that's who he is. You know what I'm saying? You know what you're signing up for with Rondo. But I feel like if, Draymond Green was drafted to the Suns and played for the Suns and how bad they've been the past, like, 3 or 4 years, I don't think, one, he'd be an all-star, and I don't think, two, he'd have, like, the voice and the platform that he has right now as to what he's doing and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? And Draymond's gotten away, or not gotten away, or, like, I don't want to say gotten away, but he's also done a lot of things that have really affected the NBA landscape. Like, the kicking Steven Adams in the balls, like, during the game, getting suspended game 5, like, when everyone thought the Warriors should have won that championship, and then Cleveland ended up winning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of his antics go too far to where it sort of cost the team, in a sense. And Rondo, he may cost the team, like, outside of the court, but on the court, he's usually mellowed down. He's usually not, all hyped up or all up in causing trouble or anything. Maybe with Draymond this series, but usually you don't really get that from Rondo. So that's why I just feel like it's Draymond. And it's just easier to see Draymond. Like, you know what I mean? That's my big thing.
Yeah,
like, it's easier to see Draymond and his antics and how, loud, and when they're at home, like, how he's, like, playing into the crowd, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's just like, it's just just the showing of it. And it's like, that just brings me kind of back to why, like, everyone started hating LeBron when he went to the Heat, and he's like, not 1, not 2, not 3, and everyone was just like, dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that really is what brought on all that hate to LeBron, because of that whole press conference and stuff. And it's whatever Draymond does isn't as big as that, but it's like all of it added up is kind of like sort of what that is in the terms of, like, the average fan.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to hate on Draymond right now, especially because he's in the spotlight, though, and he's on, like, the most hated team in the league and one of the most loved teams in the league. But because, KD went there, and they're always, as a collective team, they complain to the refs probably more than any team out there. Like, between KD and Draymond themselves, they get ejected or get technicals, like, at the highest rate in the league. So it's easier. Like, I understand what you're saying. Sometimes he goes too far, like he did in the finals, which ended up costing him being suspended because of his, anger issues. He got technicals and flagrants and got suspended. So I agree with that, but I think more people would rather have Draymond on their team than Rondo for the most part. And so from that standpoint,
it depends on the team. I think that can be a debate for another day, but I think it depends on the surrounding team, honestly.
I don't know, dude. Like, Rajon Rondo is known as a bad teammate who only shows up in the playoffs. Draymond shows up every game regardless. He's got the fire to win every game, and he's so easy to play with. He'll pass the ball to anybody. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. And Rajon Rondo, if he's not having the ball in his hands the whole game, getting his 15 assists, he's not even trying on the court, and he can't do anything besides handle the ball because he can't shoot. So he can't play off the ball, where Draymond can play off the ball, or he's willing to, is what I'm saying. He's willing to, where Rondo is not willing Rondo's not willing to let somebody else run the team virtually. Like, yes, there's a coach, but on the floor, Rondo's calling the shots. He's the one saying, AD, get on the block. And then throws it to Holiday, and Holiday throws it to AD. Or Rondo's the one running down, probing through the lane, and passing the ball only when he sees his assist open up for Holiday. So, like, I don't know. That's a debate for another day. Moving on. So, before we get into our last category of underrated, overrated, or just right, where we have two good debates to go over, what we got here is a new bit we're doing called Where Is He Today? And it goes over, we're going to be reviewing like an old retired NBA player or something like that maybe you forgot about or something, and we just kind of look at where they are today. So today we're going to look at Stephon Marbury. Now, if you know anything about Stephon Marbury, you know he came in like the late 90s, early 2000s, was an electrifying guard out of Georgia Tech, 6'2", kind of reminded me a lot of D Rose style. Like, if you're a more modern basketball player, you know D Rose. Well, Stephon Marbury was kind of like that before Derrick Rose. Really athletic, short guard that could just do everything on the floor and be the best player on the floor at any given time and could really score the ball. So he had a great career, but he kind of ended up having to leave the NBA a little early. His style kind of faded out of the league, and he just, I guess, wasn't good enough. Injuries as well. But what he did do was he went over to China, and he has had an outstanding career in China that, if you follow basketball, maybe you've heard, but to the point where he's won multiple championships in the CBA league over there, the China Basketball Association, and he's won MVPs. He's even got a statue recently built for him. Like, Rodney has told me multiple times that it's almost like he's the Michael Jordan of basketball over there in China, in a sense of he's like their guy. He's a legend. And do you remember, Rodney, that Stephon Marbury had his own clothing line back in the day called Starbury, where you could buy shoes for $15?
Of course. Yeah, he's also he came out, a couple of times and kind of called out Jordan as to, like, they get their shoes and products made at the same plant for like the same price, and Jordan just like overprices everything just because of his name. And Stephon Marbury was like, that's not what I'm gonna do. I would charge $10, $20 for these shoes and brand stuff. And I remember when that was like a hot craze. Honestly, it was for a little bit.
Yeah, it really was, because it is so true in a sense. I mean, these Jordan shoes are selling for, I mean, I'm guilty, I bought them before, like 150 plus per shoe. Some are like 200, 250, not just Jordan too, Nike, everything. And those, even those quality, like some of the best basketball shoes on the market, they probably cost less than $1 in some cases, or less than $5 when they're making them in such bulk to produce. And Stephon Marbury was one of the first to say, why are we making kids pay so much for shoes? And he was trying to give back to the community, and he developed a clothing line called Starbury, where they literally sold basketball shoes for $15. I had like 4 pairs of them. Like, you could go to the store for the same price, buy 10 pairs of shoes, and they were good. I mean, the quality, I gotta say, it wasn't, as nice as some of the Jordans out there, but they were a good enough shoe that you could actually play basketball in them. You could wear them, and they weren't ugly. You didn't feel like you were buying shoes, at a thrift store or something. So anyway, with that, so he went to China. He had a great career. He just recently announced his retirement in China. So he's done playing ball now. But what he is doing that just came out pretty recently, he just formed a deal with investors in China to bring the Starbury brand back into the US. So the brand kind of died off when he went to China in the US. They weren't really selling anything. The store that he used to sell out of, called Stephen Barry's, they went out of business, so he was left with no avenue to sell. He's had some shoes and the brand grown in China, but now he just reached a deal to start producing and bringing the shoes. and the clothing line Back to America. So I guess be on the lookout for that. I don't really know where it'll be sold. Maybe online, maybe in some stores somewhere. I don't know, but that's pretty unique. I mean, Stephon Marbury was a great player back in the day. What do you think?
Man, yeah, he had his time. And with his, great career in China, like, I think he's honestly in consideration for Hall of Fame for the work that he did. In the league here, he's two-time All-Star.
Yeah.
And all his work in China might honestly give him some Hall of Fame consideration. So, I mean, if you're a Hall of Famer in anything, that is obviously a great accomplishment, probably the greatest accomplishment, other than the accomplishments that you could have gotten as a player. So if he's a Hall of Famer, then I mean it speaks for itself right there. Even for him being in consideration, it speaks for it right there. So he obviously brought a different impact to the game than a lot of people, but he still made an impact. And I don't know, we'll have to see how the shoes sell here. I don't know if it'll do as well as it did, or maybe it may be even better. But it's definitely a type of product that would fit, people of like the lower class than people that, can't really afford, Jordans or anything like that. So it'll definitely bring them a different option of shoes to get, etc.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know why this is reminding me of that, but Akon. Akon used to be one of my favorite, I guess you could say rapper, singer, whatever he did, pop star. But, where he had like a brief career, really popular, then kind of faded out of the realm of influence, and he wasn't really as popular. Just like Stephon Marbury had a great career for a while, then just kind of faded away. But in behind the scenes, they're still doing great things, giving back to the communities that they came from. Like Akon, I mean, I don't know if you've heard about some of the work he's done in Africa with providing electricity to thousands of homes out there. He's just done great philanthropy work giving back. And I think that this is Stephon Marbury's way of giving back with giving affordable shoes to kids. He didn't grow up in the best environment where he could afford Jordans for $200, and he understands that, and he's trying to give basketball shoes back to kids, for less than $30. I mean, that's great. So always good to hear. Hope the brand does well, but we'll see. Only time will tell. All right. So last topic of the day: underrated, overrated, or just right. There's a lot of coaching positions, or a few of them, I guess, open right now. So I want to get to this talk about coaches. It was just announced recently that David Fizdale was hired by the New York Knicks. And I got a question for you, because David Fizdale, he has been very sought after by just about every of these openings in the job, whether it's the Bucks or maybe the Hawks now or the Suns. He was in the talks for all of these as being a candidate. So lots of people want David Fizdale. The New York Knicks got him. But do you think David Fizdale is overrated as a coach, underrated, or just right?
I may be a little biased, but I'm gonna just say just right for right now. I think he did a fabulous job with the Grizzlies. I mean, they made the playoffs his first year. And he's one of those guys that's just like a Pat Riley disciple. Because, I mean, he was there with the big three in Miami. And whenever you come from like a Pat Riley type coaching tree, you get a lot of love. It's sort of like the Popovich tree. Like Budenholzer, the Atlanta's former coach, Brett Brown, the Sixers coach now. And Steve Kerr even is from the Pop tree. Like, so all of these successful coaches, they have, coaches that coached under them and stuff. And Fizdale is one of Pat Riley's guys. And a lot of people know what Pat Riley brings to the table. And so having one of the guys that used to work under him, they feel that, they may bring some of the philosophies that Pat Riley had. And that's sort of what the Knicks need right now. They need that, like, a guy like Fizdale to sort of just direct them. They haven't had a coach that just been able to take control of the situation. It's sort of been like the players in control of the coach, and that's not how it's supposed to be in a lot of situations. So I think that was a great move. I think that's like one of the best moves the Knicks have made since Porzingis, honestly. I think he's gonna be, a great coach for Porzingis. And honestly, Fizdale was the guy that really helped Bosh in Miami become what he was before he got hurt. He helped Bosh, develop that 3-point shot. He helped Bosh really develop being into like the player that he was opposite of Toronto. And I think that'll be good for Porzingis, and we'll just have to see how management, pieces some players around him. And honestly, I think the Knicks also made that move because they're trying to get LeBron, and LeBron loves Fizdale. So, they're gonna try and get their 2 cents in. Hopefully, try to sway LeBron to New York, and see what they can do there. I mean, I doubt that's gonna happen, but I mean, if LeBron can bring New York basketball back, or go to LA and bring a championship to LA, like, is he considered the GOAT then? Is he unquestionably considered the GOAT?
LeBron?
Yeah, if he brings the championship to LA or New York.
No, not to me. I mean, if you're asking me, you know what I'm going to say. So, but he would, in most minds, yeah, that would be insane if he brought a championship to 3 different teams and at all 3 different stages of his career. I mean, yes, that would make it insane, especially depending on the teams he had to beat. And, he's already solidified himself as being up there. So, I mean, I don't know. It would help his argument, yes. But in terms of Fizdale, dude, he seems like he'll be a great coach. He's had a good track record in Miami for all those years under Spoelstra. It seems like like you said, he has a great relationship with LeBron. He even went on vacation with LeBron a year ago with D Wade and their families. Like, I remember that. It was so, yes, there is that connection there, and I think you're right. The Knicks realize this is a good head coach, and if we want to attract LeBron, this is a great route to go. So, but in terms of overrated or underrated or just right, I gotta say right now, I think he's a little overrated in terms of coaching ability, simply because there's just not a lot of coaching, like, statistics to show for his actual coaching ability. Like, the teams in Miami were great, but Spoelstra was the head coach, so we don't know there. And he had 1 year in Memphis where they were okay. They made the playoffs, but they didn't really do anything. And I know Memphis was a weird situation, but I'm just saying, based off statistically, there's nothing here that says, this guy is like a Brad Stevens or one of those other, even a collegiate coaching career where you say, this guy knows how to bring people together and make them win. I think that's still yet to be seen. I mean, this year with the Grizzlies, before he was fired, obviously they sucked. I mean, they lost a lot of players. Like, there was no chance for him to win there. But I just think all this talk of him being such a great coach, and I just haven't seen it enough to know if he's a great coach or if maybe he's a basketball mind, but he's not a good coach. I don't know.
I think the thing is, the Grizzlies were actually playing really well before he got fired. And remember, they started off so hot at the beginning of the year. Remember, they were like the top team in the East, or in the West, sorry. And Conley got hurt, and him and Gasol just didn't get along. And so the Memphis, management, they took Gasol's side and fired Fizdale. And that's kind of, so like everyone at the time just felt like he kind of got screwed in a sense of that job. And they saw the potential in what he was doing in Memphis. And I think that's why he was such a hot commodity, especially in a time nowadays. Like, everyone saw what Steve Kerr did to Golden State. Like, Mark Jackson was a great coach, but everyone saw what Steve Kerr did, and everyone's looking for that, like, Steve Kerr type coach that's, like, kind of sitting around that, oh, if I had this guy and we change, our philosophies a little bit, he could elevate our teams. Because that a lot of teams are just kind of just stuck in that, like, we're not too bad to suck, but we're not too good to compete. So they're looking for that coach to really elevate them into that competition to win.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, like, for example, Steve Kerr, he's come in with a lot to work with, though. Like, when he came in, obviously the Warriors were great. So it's still hard to tell if can he be a good coach in an environment like the rebuilding New York Knicks. Who knows? Yeah, they'd probably be okay. I don't know. There's different types of coaches out there.
Steve Kerr, he was choosing between Golden State and New York. And imagine if he would have picked the Knicks.
Exactly. See, he might not even have a coaching job ever again. He might have been fired already and never get another job. So, like, for all we know, if Derek Fisher got hired on for the Warriors, he'd be talked about as one of the best coaches in the league right now. We just don't know because it's a lot based on the players you have. But if you would ask me this same question, overrated, underrated, or just right, when Steve Kerr was being hired, I'd say he's overrated too, because he had zero coaching experience and all these teams were willing to pay him huge money to come in and coach their teams, and we have no idea if he can coach. So, like, you just don't know. Yeah, you just don't know, and I hope Fizdale's a good coach, but I just think it's hard to, you just wonder, why do they deserve this over somebody else who's been doing it for a while. Fizdale is an example where he paid his dues as an assistant. You know, he worked for Miami for close to 10 years as an assistant, and you know, even before that he was with Atlanta, and so he's paid his dues and he deserves a shot. But do we know if he's going to be good? I don't. I think he'll be okay, but we'll see what he can do with the rebuilding team. So with that kind of brings us to the end of the show for today. Thank you all for listening. Please remember that, you know, we're going to try to keep this coming as often as we can, and we appreciate every listener we get. Follow the social media pages, Bonafide Basketball. You can find us on all social media outlets. LaFlare, we're sponsored by LaFlare Media. Rodney, tell them a little bit about what LaFlare got coming up.
Yeah, so LaFlare _ media on Instagram, Twitter. They're, you know, a media company that's sort of sponsoring Bonafide Basketball and a couple other things. We're gonna have freelance football and hybrid hip hop. So for those who are interested in football news and hip hop news as well, we'll have that. And we have a lot more coming as well. We'll start having, you know, some video stuff too, some more direct news on our pages as well. So if you want to keep up with, you know, day-to-day stuff, we'll have that on our pages, and then we'll come out with the podcasts whenever, you know, whenever it's needed.
Sounds great. All right, well, thank you guys for listening, and see you next time.